over 60% of our cost is people. And if we don't make them productive, we can't be profitable.
A lot of our products we sell, we're selling at a very small differential between the cost and the selling price. So you have to have efficiencies of scale to make a profit.
We have several thousand contracts in the system at any given time, and when we sell an item against it, we need to supply a rebate back to the vendor.
I think the productivity of our sales department has increased tremendously since we took on Eclipse.
Open order reports are much smaller than they ever used to be. So there's less tickets being lost, there's less sales that are unaccounted for. Everything is being accounted for in a much more complete manner.
Activant understands the electrical industry because they've been involved in it for quite a while, and their partnerships with the IDW and the IDEA.
We felt the day we selected it that it was the best software available for an electrical distributor, and everything we've done in this past year has just reconfirmed that view. One of the things that we looked at with Eclipse is much more automation at our point of sale. Well, we've instituted a few technologies. One is we've worked with our manufacturers and the RF system to get as many of our products barcoded as possible. So now when a customer brings products up to the counter, we have barcode scanners that can be read by the Eclipse system, so that instead of hand keying those items in again and possibly hand keying one in wrong, we're scanning them in and they're automatically going on the sales order. Then if the customer wants to pay by credit card, we have an integrated credit card system. So now instead of running over to one machine at each location, each counter person can swipe it at their workstation. It automatically goes and hits the credit card, puts it against the count, and allows the transaction to move to the next step.
The one aspect that we really like is the signature pad. So when a customer leaves here, he signs for his tickets. So a month later when the company goes to pay for it and they say, I never got it, whenever we send out the invoice, the signature gets attached right to it. So we can say, well, you know, you're so-and-so signed for it. So that's helped us as far as the counter people proving that customers actually got the inventory they say they didn't get.
My AR department appreciates it because now everybody understands how important that signature is, not just the person who has to find it in the file, but the person who has to capture it, because they get to see it pay off dividends when we actually send people copies of invoices that they're missing.
So not only have we improved our efficiency, but in that case we've also improved our customer service, because we're preventing the customer from having to take a step. We've provided him the answer before he even asked for it. We'll get an EDI document from Square D saying, we've set up Dan's contracting. Here's the items that we're covering for Dan. Here's what the specific cost and sell price are. We will be able to take that document and electronically load it in our system and build a pricing matrix for Dan based on that document that we just got from Square D without human key punching. Now the contract's in place, and lucky for us, Dan actually starts to buy products. He'll get the products on that contract based on the pricing of the contract. Now when at the end of the month, we can gather up all that information electronically and we send it back to Square D in another EDI document saying, here's what Dan bought, so we want a rebate based on how many of this particular product we sold specifically to Dan.
You just run the EDI rebate report and then transmit it, and you're done. It goes out there and pulls the information it needs and builds that file and creates a negative PO and sends it to the vendor.
Handling rebates on a monthly basis, we do them before we do our check run. Pretty much the system, you just tell the system what the information that you want, and it runs them, and we just take our deductions, and I think it definitely is easier to run them.
In the past, we would do the huge majority of that thing by using spreadsheets, by key punching data in, by extracting reports and filling in forms, and now we're able to do it on an automated basis. What Eclipse allows you to do is enter a lot price and a lot cost at the beginning of a sales order. So I'm going to say I have one lot of one manufacturer's material. The selling price is $100,000, and we'll say the cost is $80,000. Now when a manufacturer's invoice comes in, the clerk can put in, well, we've got invoice not for the full amount, but for half of it. So we've been billed $40,000, and the system will automatically look and say, well, based on that, your selling portion or your selling price for this portion of the order should be $50,000. And we can accept that, or we can advance that slightly, so it allowed us to protect more of our funds by increasing that gap between how much we're billing and how much we're actually sending the customer.
We train our employees how they can just drill down and actually see what was billed, you know, why the margin dropped, all those kind of questions. They can get that information quickly and be able to make much quicker decisions.
Since we're using the system to create the invoice, the product manager who is not doing the billing at any time can go to the lot order status review queue and say, we've billed about 97% of it, and we haven't billed that last 3%. And one of the ironies is that last 3% is all profit. So if you lose that, you're not losing cost, you're losing net profit. So being able to go in there and pick up on a job before it gets too old, that it's at this sort of magical 95, 97%, and then take some action to do something to recover that money has been a huge benefit for us. I've worked with a fair amount of software, and I would say the RF software in Eclipse is probably the best piece of software I've ever worked with. It's made us more productive. It's reduced the amount of errors, shipping exceptions out of the warehouse where we've picked the wrong product to almost a negligible amount.
One of the ones that we went live with that was a very pleasant surprise and how easy it was to use go live day was the RF warehouse. The RF warehouse personnel were up and running by the middle of the morning. We paid for that investment in software and hardware in under 3 months with the efficiencies we gained by going to RF.
I'm a firm believer that if you have a warehouse above a certain size and you're not using the RF system, you're an idiot. Because there is so much gains in productivity, in accuracy, and every distributor struggles with it. It's unbelievable that you wouldn't use it.
We were able to reduce the number of trucks we have by improving the efficiency of our truck routing through the software that integrates with Eclipse.
Took a lot of work away from me. Mailing, I used to spend 3 hours on just mailing out invoices alone every day.
The process for proving credits to be accurate and then getting the customer on a timely basis repaid has been also just another great improvement.
Job queues definitely allowed us to leverage up our existing user base even as we've been able to grow, and we haven't had to add employees.
It's helping us produce reports to get to our vendors to try and get rid of dead inventory, which is saving us money in the long run.
Document imaging has been great for our system. It eliminates all the paper.
It allows us to put all those documents in a central repository and then have access to them at any time, whether if that's a tax-exempt form or the copy of the sales order that somebody sent in. We lean on that heavily.
With Eclipse and the PDW, the basic information from our pricing provider, IDW2, is put in weekly. That's an automatic.
Our job is so much easier that we can spend more time on the phone soliciting business rather than tracking through an endless field of paper, trying to find things that we've quoted in the past. Everything is right at our fingertips.
The fact that our industry is doing something and that our software company is saying, hey, your industry is going in this direction, we're going to do our part in making sure our software is compatible with that new standard. That's very important on us.
Knowing Eclipse as I do, and knowing the other products, I still am aware of what's going on in the other products. And if we went through that process today in summer of '08, we would still select Eclipse.
I think Eclipse has made us more efficient as a company from an individual by individual basis to a branch basis in total, because the software package is progressive. It grows with the business and has technology available for you. And a lot of those things are things that you couldn't do on previous software packages. You couldn't do them on the packages that we looked at that we were comparing to Eclipse. So we found those things to be huge tools, labor-saving devices that you can't do with many people on staff, never mind just one person.
We've had significant growth in sales, and we've added users where we've had to expand into, let's say we opened a new location. Well, of course you're going to add users there. But in terms of just the fact that we've grown sales, we've not added users as a result of that. We've been able to leverage the efficiencies we've gathered out of Eclipse and kept our headcount. And for us, I mean, that's ROI there.